You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to talk about Fred VanVleet being available. He opted out of his contract. What does that mean for him, and could the Bulls be interested? The Denver Nuggets also closed out in Game 5, winning the NBA Finals. And does AK deserve more patience after looking at how long it took Denver to get to the mountaintop? We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sports book of Locked On. Make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm HAize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So Fred VanVleet was made available after opting out of his contract. And, of course, Bulls Nation went on an immediate tirade to say how we can go out and sign VanVleet. Now, what I'm going to say to this, and I'll let you give your thoughts on it here in a second, Pat, is simply put, I'm just going to put it plainly. He opted out of a $23 million contract. Do you think he's going to opt out of that to take the Bulls mid-level exception? I think not. But Pat, what do you think, brother?
And come here to be the fourth option, right?
Yeah.
I think that's your only hope with Fred VanVleet, that he comes here to take a back seat to Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Maybe DeMar's gone, whatever it is, but kind of the relationship that they have is a part of that. And probably maybe he's the third option. Maybe he's the third option on that team. But what you want him to come here and do is be a facilitator. He's a good facilitator. I think that Fred VanVleet also is a point guard who probably people tried to put into that, like, you could be the next Steph, Trey, Jalen Brunson type player, although he was before Jalen Brunson, but like that kind of player, like you can go out there and put up the big numbers, and the efficiency didn't come with that. So you kind of want him to like take a complete step back and say, hey man, take like 13 shots. And in those 13 shots, if you knock down 6 of them, we're doing good. Also, give me 8 assists. That's not what Fred VanVleet wants to do. He wants to go somewhere where he's probably going to be a number 1, maybe a number 2 option. And I don't see that being Chicago. I would like him here. I think that he plays the passing lanes well. I wouldn't be mad at him next to Zach LaVine, although that team defensively would be probably a travesty. But I think, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see a realistic option where Fred comes here, like you said, because of the money, because of what the Bulls have to offer him. And I think that that's pretty much your baseline right now. And he's not a guy that's going to take the discount to come play with DeMar DeRozan again, right? Like I just don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, and could the Bulls work out a sign and trade? Technically, yeah, that's always an option. But as we talked about earlier, like with DeJounte Murray, who was a much younger player, even then giving up a ton of your future assets potentially for a player that you're gonna try to sign outright. I see the fit. Let me be clear. I could see a fit if Fred VanVleet didn't want to come and he accepted, that he wasn't going to score a lot here. Like, and that's cool, but I just don't see it realistically happening. I think he's going to go to one of the and I actually talked about this with Nick over on Locked On NBA, and I'm going to bring it over here. The Spurs are a sneaky candidate to sign Fred VanVleet. And the reason why I say that is, A, they could need a point guard if they let Trey Jones walk. They could be looking for a veteran point guard to help Victor Wembanyama acclimate to the NBA game. And you got Coach Pop there. They got $60 million they need to spend this offseason. What do you think about the Spurs potentially being target for Fred?
What's he do to Trey though?
Score.
Like what?
I
mean,
he's better and he's a vet.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I think it's also just that they've been a very mid team and we're trying to lose on purpose for basically 4 years.
Yeah.
Just waiting for this. I don't know. Like I don't see. I also don't view Fred VanVleet as this oh my god player, right? Like I mean, he's a guy that shoots like 38% from the field. So realistically, you're hoping that he comes there to be the playmaker. I guess the Spurs could be a name that I could see bringing up, but like, I mean, how Trey Jones finished out the season, I would think that you might want to take more of a chance on a guy like Trey Jones, who's 23 years old, versus a guy in Fred VanVleet, who's what, 27 now? 26, 27?
True, but like I said, they have to get to that salary cap floor. So they have to spend a certain amount of money. And just because if they do sign VanVleet, it doesn't necessarily stop them from also re-signing Trey Jones.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
I mean, listen, you don't want too many of that build of guy on your team.
Listen, this is Greg Popovich. Pop is convinced that but when you really look at the Spurs roster, right? They got Jeremy Sohan down there as well, another young big that can benefit from a veteran point. Malachi Branham, we were both high on that guy. Yeah. We didn't get to see a lot of them. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. So while Trey Jones fits that timeline, let me be clear that it fits that more clearly. I just think bringing in Wembanyama, like you may really have to take a look at
trying to win quicker.
Not trying to win quicker, but what like big men. You have a point guard that can help that development. That jumpstarts his development a little bit there.
Well, I think the question is, right, how are they going to use Wemby in that situation? Yeah, right? Like it's like if Wemby's got the ball in his hands 60% of the time, 70% of the time, I don't want Fred VanVleet. I want somebody that's going to be able to get to the bucket and get a bucket at the wing position, or right, like maybe Devin Vassell is able to turn into that. I'm not looking for a 6 foot tall point guard to come in and be the answer that at that spot for me. I think that you're probably looking for somebody a little bit bigger on the market. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you're in the DeJounte market. Like that would be the ultimate flex. He gets DeJounte back. That would be the ultimate flex.
They're not going to trade and get DeJounte back.
Hey, Pop might be on some Jedi mind tricks out here. Be like, these are the teams you're looking for. I don't know, man. I like Fred VanVleet in a situation being the player that he hasn't been in Toronto, and I think that's the hard part. Right? Like, I don't like Fred VanVleet as your number one option. Or even realistically your number two, but I can accept the number two more. He's not an efficient player. He's Trae Young.
Come on, bro.
He's literally look at their shooting percentages. Trae just shoot more.
I'm about to say, but the volume definitely matters. If you shoot more and average the same percentage, like he's not Trae Young.
I mean, yeah, but if I shoot more and it's still 38%, that's still not good. Like, I'm putting up more points, but it's still not good. Like, their percentages are pretty close, dog. Like, they're not. It's not like, oh my God, Trae Young is leaps and bounds a better shooter. They both pretty inefficient.
Bro, Trae Young's a much better shooter than Fred VanVleet.
What Trae Young shoot from the field? I ain't even looking at numbers right now.
From the field, a career 43% from the field, 35% from 3-point range.
What's Fred VanVleet?
From the field for his career, 40% and 37% from 3-point range.
They dang near the same.
But that's just the percent. You gotta look at usage rate and number of shots as well. Like Trae Young averages for his career 6 more shots a game than what Fred VanVleet averages. And he's taking a three a game more. So that volume changes a lot there.
I mean, okay. So if Fred's numbers go down a little more to catch up with Trae, I'm not sitting here looking at either one like, oh my God, my team has changed. I'm like, nah, you just got a lot of inefficient shots happening here. I think that's the thing for me with Fred too, coming to Chicago, right? Like the answers we're looking for, does Fred fix that?
Here's the thing. I think he can be a damn good facilitator. And I think that him hitting the wide open three, I mean, he's going to be better than what we've had anybody here to do. And like I said, and like you've pointed out, it took a bottom 30 point guard, if he's even that, to really unlock this team.
Yeah.
So Fred VanVleet is better than Pat Bev in every stretch of the imagination.
But I think that's the thing, right? Like you're talking about, again, we're having the same conversation. Fred taking a step back. And I'm talking about like, not with the Bulls, it's not a step. It's like, hey, you're like option 3. Like you're taking multiple steps back. You're not the next guy up to me.
I mean, that's not too dissimilar from his role in Toronto. He didn't average even the second most shots per game in Toronto. So it's not really changing that much for him in that case. Like I think even when you look at VanVleet, even when they won the title, he was what?
Well, he was a bench point guard then.
Yeah, at that point,
he was off the bench then. So that's a whole different role there. You still had Kyle Lowry ahead of him. You still had, I mean, how many shots he taking a game? He's taking what? Basketball Reference always split everything up. That must be making me do math.
16 shots per game right now.
16 shots.
Last season was 16 shots per game.
That's a lot of shots.
That is a lot of shots. It's way more than what he's going to get here.
Listen, and that's my point.
He was on a team full of non-shooters too, like because everybody there didn't want to shoot the ball.
I mean, but realistically, it was shooters. They just be missing. Like Pascal was shooting. Scotty Barnes was shooting. It must just be missing, bro. Don't let DeAndre DeRozan get up in the stadium.
Oh, bro,
y'all let a 10-year-old girl. She 10. She was 10, right? Y'all let a 10-year-old girl beat y'all. By the way, I'm glad that Fred VanVleet is getting out of Toronto just to take a random stray, because that's the worst fan base in all of basketball.
All right, let's go ahead and move right along. I don't disagree with you at all. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about our sponsor, eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit, which the Denver Nuggets did do. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items, exclusions do apply. All right, Pat, we got to get into it, man. I will say this. Game 5 was the most exciting game of the series by far. And I like that it was an ugly, low-scoring game to win a title. I like that. How'd you feel about the Denver Nuggets pulling out this win, bro?
I don't like that it was an ugly, low-scoring game, because it wasn't an ugly, low-scoring game because of good defense. It was just a lot of missed open shots. Like, it was good defense the last 5 minutes, but it was just a lot of missed shots. Like, the game started with Miami going 2 for 14. But I don't know. It's cool that the Nuggets won. I love it. I love the Jokic is. Here's the funny part. How does the NBA market Jokic? He doesn't care.
He does. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I also not care.
That doesn't care also matters to the fact that Jokic will do anything. Like, he did a whole photo shoot dressed as Heath Ledger's Joker. Jokic will do whatever the NBA asks him for, but just don't ask him to show up and start kissing babies. He's not going to do that.
Like, did you see the champagne shake that he did? And bro, my man said, I was like, what's that? It's just a little sprinkle. Just a little sprinkle. Bro, I was like, what the heck is that, bro?
Now, I bet you if you roll out a bear and say, wrestle this bear, he'll get excited for that.
Hey, bro, I will say this too. I put this on Bleacher Report, commented on one of the videos. Hey, did you see the Morris twins throwing up Mike Malone, throwing him up and down and catching him?
I did not catch that.
Or not the Morris twins, my bad. The Jokic brothers throwing Mike Malone up and down and catching him. Hey, bro, the Morris twins don't want that. Hey, bro, that's 2 years later. I don't even care. Y'all leave that fight alone. Leave them Serbians alone, bro. But no, I think the real question now that I asked because we live called the game, finished it out, whatever. Where do you have Jokic all time among centers? Like, Jokic might be right outside of top 5 centers all time.
Yeah, he's definitely, and I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be in top 5. I mean, you can't look at what he's done numbers wise, and I know that whole rhetoric started with like, oh, his MVPs were manufactured and all this. Like, I don't subscribe or care about any of that.
I don't know
that what that man's been able to do on the. What'd you say?
I said, I don't know how you manufacture being great.
Exactly. Like, it's just people just try to find the biggest conspiracies where they can, and sometimes they just sound damn right stupid. But ultimately, like, Jokic is an amazing player. Like, what he's able to do by not being the most athletic. Like, have we ever seen a center dominate the way that he can and not be athletic?
Domantas Sabonis.
Sabonis ain't won a damn thing yet. He hasn't dominated anything.
Or my bad, not Domantas. Arvydas.
Okay, well that's
Arvydas Sabonis.
That I'll give you that.
I went to the Sun. Arvydas Sabonis. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And he got here. He was so old. He was like, I'm sick of playing this game.
Yeah, exactly.
No look pass. I'm tired of this.
But that's literally it. So like you can't overlook the greatness of Nikola Jokic to me. Now, also I want to talk to you about this. There are so many storylines with this team coming in. You look at Aaron Gordon, I'm sorry, who the Orlando Magic tried to make him a primary ball handler. He comes to Denver. He becomes almost the perfect role player next to Jokic, steps up hugely defensively in this game, guarding Jimmy Butler, albeit hobbled throughout most of this game. You look at Jamal Murray, everything he's been with his career, staying in Denver. Mike Malone being a coach in Denver in 8 years and staying in, so many years of, hey, is this year that Mike Malone's on the hot seat? All those type of questions surrounding, and that's just to name a few. You also have Christian Braun, who just won an NCAA title and now has won an NBA title. Like, so many storylines with this team. Which one do you think is the best storyline?
To me, the best storyline is Jokic losing the MVP and winning the NBA Finals. Yeah. Because your MVP of the league looked helpless in the playoffs. Like, this ain't even as good as, which another reason why they need to reevaluate all of how they do all of this. This ain't even Barkley. Barkley got to the finals.
Yeah.
Like, you had to set up where it could have been Barkley, right? It could have been Jokic versus Embiid. That would have been amazing to see, right?
I would have loved to see that.
Oh my God. It would have been amazing to see. But it's your MVP crapped the bed. And your finals MVP dominated the entire time and literally looked like he was unstoppable. This looked like, because I'm trying to think, is there a finals where LeBron just utterly dominated the other team? I'm trying to go through Bron's finals. I don't think Steph has any.
Miami Heat's first title?
No, because they played against. Well, yeah, no, that's it. That's the one.
That's it.
That's the last time we saw this. LeBron James versus Kevin Durant. Utterly dominated Kevin Durant. It was the first time I was like, he's the best player in the NBA. Like, he took one dribble, went to take off, and Kevin Durant was holding on to the ball and just rode the elevator with him. Like, yes, that's probably the last time that we've seen this where it was just pure, utter dominance on the other side. And I mean, Jokic doing that, and in the back of my mind the entire time, I'm like, we really gave Embiid the MVP. And during the regular season, I was like, yeah, he deserves it.
He deserved it during the regular season.
He deserved it. But Jokic still had a heck of a case. So to me, that's probably the best storyline to take out of this.
I mean, hey, I can't argue that. I think that like Jokic, like just getting over that hump, and then also our guy Michael Porter, who should have been a Bull, goes from what he went through in the draft, people doubting if he was going to be able to stay healthy, him suffering another major injury, and a lot of people, me included, I got to call myself out, thought that Michael Porter Jr. may not ever be able to come back and be impact player. He looks everybody in their face, and there were times in this game where he did some things defensively and over the course of this playoff run that I know people never thought that we'd see defensively from Michael Porter Jr. Just having a big impact in this game. And also the Denver Nuggets only winning multiple games against the Suns. That's it. That's the only time they lost 2 games in any series. This was just a great dominant run by the Denver Nuggets to win this title.
No, 100%. MPJ is a weird one because, like, I would tell you this right now. MPJ is gonna be that player where, like, sometimes he plays. He's gonna be DeMar, right? Remember when we were like Amar Arnell? That's MPJ, bro. Because there was times where it was like, oh, so you're capable of playing defense. And then there was one time with Kyle Lowry. It was like 91, or it was like 89, 86. Kyle Lowry just walked past them, and Michael Porter Jr. was like. I was like, what are you doing? Like, play defense.
He said, no, I'm good on that.
I'm good on that, bro. I'm good on that.
He's
He's such an interesting player, and I think that Ringo was talking about this with me over when we finished the live call. For the Denver Nuggets to have a dominance run, he has to turn into that next piece that is the other 20-point guy or the 18-8 guy consistently. And man, if they do that, Denver might have something here, man. And it's all about health. And the fact that Jamal Murray came back from multiple ACLs to actually win a ring.
That's crazy.
Like that's awesome to me too.
You know, Paul Pierce, the best says he's the best point guard in the NBA.
Paul Pierce also buys women for $1. So speaking of money, there is a opportunity here for you to make some money with FanDuel. That's right, because FanDuel right now has the no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. I'm talking about they have great promotions every single day. They're safe and secure. You can get paid instantly. There's no place better to bet all of the playoff action that we just saw. America's #1 sportsbook. You can visit FanDuel.com/locked on it and get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, last topic of the day before we get going now. For those that don't know, the president of basketball operations for the Chicago Bulls, Arturas Karnisovas, was the GM of the Denver Nuggets. And we saw how long it took for the Nuggets to really get over that hump. So we're going to present this question. Do Bulls fans need to be more patient with AK?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You have no option. As soon as he got hired, he had a 10-year long job.
Yeah.
But
15.
here's the thing. Yeah, probably. Because he's not terrible at it yet. Here's the thing, though. It's a long process, and sometimes you throw things at the wall to see what sticks, and stuff doesn't stick. Lonzo didn't stick. I feel like I'm in the clear.
I mean, his meniscus didn't stick together, that's for sure.
Tough. Jesus. Top it up. But I really look at like that's a major decision that sets you back probably 2 years. We'll see what this season ends up being. We'll see what the Bulls end up doing with the offseason. But realistically, right, Lonzo, just like Shannon Sharp, probably won't be back. So I think that this is a situation here where you have to now try to recover something major that was lost, that even after DeMar, even after Vooch, you thought was going to be a major part of your team. Again, Lonzo's 24 years old. Yeah. AK's trying to figure out how we fix that. I guess, I don't know if you could say mistake. It's a mistake to me because you knew he was injury prone coming in. But realistically, right, injuries happen to everybody. But how to fix that part of the issue that is at hand. And the only way to fix that is one of two ways, through the draft or by acquiring free agents. We don't have much draft capital, so we got to acquire free agents. And the tough part is coming into this season, there's not a lot of money to spend. So what does that mean? You're probably looking to do a lot more next season. That's going to require patience. That's going to require, and the thing is, very much like you laid out everything with the Denver Nuggets, very much like with Mike Malone, Billy Donovan is also going to be here. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Listen, I said it before the playoffs. I said it before they went to the finals. I said it every single. Mike Malone is mid. Mike Malone's okay. Did you see anything that was realistically? Did Mike Malone outcoach Eric Spoelstra in this series?
Yes.
Mike Malone just had Jokic.
No, bro. In most games, he absolutely outcoached because it's not like the Miami Heat weren't trying to do things defensively, especially after that second game they adjusted. And here's the point: is that he had the better talent. Let me be clear: he had the better talent, so it's easier to outcoach when you're so talented. But no, Mike Malone coached a damn good series and a damn good playoffs overall.
Listen. This is what I seen. A dude that can't be stopped. You know what the adjustment to Jokic was? I'ma just keep going at y'all and y'all can't stop me. Bam Adebayo had no answers for you. He literally body, chest, arms up. Jokic turned around and dropped the floater in his face multiple times. And the times he didn't feel like dropping a floater in his face, he kicked it out to the corner for a wide open three. Like, to me, that's what the Bulls need to be looking at is you just got to find that guy. You got to find that next guy. Maybe it's Zach LaVine. Maybe it's what Patrick Williams develops into. Maybe it's somebody who's not even on the team yet. But at the end of the day, what wins in the NBA is the best talent paired with an all right head coach. We've seen that multiple times. Head coach. Nick Nurse got a championship. Nick Nurse got a championship, though, because collectively the knees of the Golden State Warriors said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and sit this one out. Facts. And guess what? Sometimes you need stuff to go your way. Mike Budenholzer had knees snapping left and right on his way to a championship. Sometimes
knees you just need Achilles. Let me not forget the Achilles rupture with KD.
Sometimes you just need stuff to break your way. So yes, you need to show patience.
That's a tough line there, brother.
You need stuff to break your way?
Yeah, when we're talking about players getting injured for them to get to the title,
tough.
That's a tough line there, bro.
On me. I sit this one out. It's on you now. Your turn.
But no, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, being well coached helps. I think the last time, off the top of my head, I don't have a list in front of me, but like we absolutely saw a team with the better talent lose when the Dallas Mavericks beat the Miami Heat.
Yes,
we saw so. I think you just have the right combination of coaching and then the roster that reflects whatever that can bring together that coach's game plan or a coach that can adapt to the players well. Things that we don't have here in Chicago. We got Billy Donovan probably for the same 10 years that we have AK. But you know, it is what it is.
More than likely. And I think here's the thing though, right? Like you never know what's going to happen. And this is why when everybody's like, why do we want to make the playoffs? Why do we want to try to make the playoffs? You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Miami had stuff go their way, and then they just got hot. Miami for 3 series got hot. Realistically, the team we saw tonight is the team we saw all season. They just showed back up. A Miami Heat team that couldn't knock down shots, couldn't finish buckets, and in that last little span where it was like the last-ditch effort, Jimmy Butler got hot yet again, and they almost won this game.
And that terrible call. But
which one?
When they called the foul because he kicked Aaron Gordon in the nuts.
That wasn't a terrible call.
That was a terrible call.
Jimmy Butler was fading to the right, so your leg's going to kick out because you're fading to the right on the shot, and also Michael Porter Jr. was coming over. So
but they didn't call it on Michael Porter Jr. But they called it on Aaron Gordon. That's a terrible call. No, because you have the right to close out on the shot. There's nothing that Aaron Gordon did on that's not a natural closeout. Yes, Jimmy Butler kicked his foot out, and I'm not saying Jimmy should have been called for a foul either. That should have been a no call. He should have missed the shot, kept it moving. By every law of how shot calls, fouls are supposed to be called, the defensive player has the right to close out and to get in the space, and the offensive player has the right to take a natural shooting motion. Even if you want to say that Jimmy Butler's foot coming out was part of his natural shooting motion, which I've seen Jimmy shoot a lot. It's not always how he shoots. There was nothing that was done wrong by the defender on that.
It's
play.
His natural shooting motion to the right. He was
running.
It doesn't matter. He was running to the right.
Nothing wrong about the way the defender closed out on that shot. You have the right to close out on the shot.
You do have the right. You don't have the right to make contact.
But the contact was only made because Jimmy kicked out his foot.
The contact is made on Jimmy kicking out his foot because of how Jimmy was shooting the basketball.
It's because of how he was shooting the basketball, bro.
He's running to the right, pulling up like this.
Bro, you can absolutely pull up without kicking your – there was an extension.
Not on a fade. He's fading to the right to get around MPJ's arm.
Like with most things, bro, you're missing a little bit there, bro.
Hey, that was a good call. That was the right call.
You're literally the only person to say that was a good call.
I said that when it happened too. I was like, that was the right call. Because it's about how he's taking the shot. He's running to the right, full speed, pulls up.
He was not running full speed to the right. That's not how he took the shot. Go back and look at the replay.
He
was not running full speed and then glided out. That's not the way you're describing. Is not the way that it happened, bro.
All right. Listen, I'm happy different one too, but that was the right call.
It was not the right call, bro. Not at all. But that's our time, man. Let's get up out of here, bro. That's it. That's the time.
Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for showing love.
Y'all can follow me at CEO HAize, at CEO HAize. Make sure you follow Locked On Bulls as well, at Locked On Bulls in every social media platform. We will be back tomorrow breaking down any craziness that happens with this team. The season's officially over with now. We're officially in the offseason. Let's see if AK and Eversley gets to work the way that we hope that they will. For Pat the Designer, I'm HAize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We about here. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.